Okay, who's on? Okay, I see Monair. I see Bill. Where's everybody? You guys don't like your video turned on, huh? Who's this? Is that Terry? Yep, Terry's on.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Okay.
That's good. Oh,
Still here.
who?
You. I thought you had a trip to make.
Yeah, I do. It's starting a road trip on Friday. So I will be at the Rotary meeting in the morning, but then I hit the road.
There's Bill Sobs.
Yeah, I see Bill.
Hey, Terry. Hey,
Bill needs a haircut like I do.
very good. We look like hippies.
Hey, I get mine tomorrow at 6:15.
I am too. I'm getting mine at 10.
There you go.
I thought you had a static charge or something on you there, Ed.
I know. No, I think that the kids have been looking through all my pictures through my life and said, Dad, I don't think you've ever had that hair that long, ever. Yeah, hippie dad. Yeah. I'm gonna save lots of money on shampoo now and hot water.
I'm saving money on gas.
Well, yeah, that's true.
A lot.
Yeah, you're not on the road. All right, who else? I got Jim. I see Jim's on.
I see Monir's name.
Yep, I see him. So we're waiting for Ray. Hope Ray joins us. And we're waiting for Sharon. No, I don't. Did Sharon say she was going to be? I don't remember now. And Stan and Tony. Of course, we need Tony.
Somebody just call in.
I did. This is Ray.
Ray, good.
I can't get on the web for some reason.
Yeah. You know, it's those riffraff we try and block. What else? We're I guess we're waiting for Tony. Now, one of the things I got to make sure. Oh, good. We are. I should warn you guys. We are recording right now. I don't know whether that means anything.
There's Stan.
And
Stan's here. Good. Well, Tony just sent me an email. What the heck? Need to check why Tony.
all this stuff.
Oh, Tony sent me an email saying my computer is acting up. Start without me. Okay. Okay. So I will call this meeting to order. Ray's here, right? So we got 7:03. Roll call. Monier, Tufik, Terry Jones, Stan Huber, Ed Lynch, and Jim Ball, and who am I missing? Ray is here, Valentini. So, do we have who's our, see, Jim, you are our alternate. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Tony's not here. I'm gonna probably, if there is any votes, if he gets in, we'll do it, but we'll make Jim a voting member. I don't have Sharon here. She's absent. Okay, so we go to the minutes. Let me share let me see if I can share. Does that work? Let's see. Oops. All right, what do you guys see?
It shows your web, there you go.
Yeah, you got the minutes. Yeah, let me make the agenda a lot smaller and make this a little bigger.
Uh-huh.
All right, so there are the minutes. Not much. I don't see anything that could be controversial, but I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of May 26, 2020. I need a second.
So moved.
So moved. Are there any corrections, additions, or omissions? Hearing none. All those approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I don't hear any, so it's unanimous. All those abstained, I don't hear any. Okay, so on to communications and correspondence. Now, the operation report, I'd like to note, I will put it up on the screen here. There is a particular thing. Boy, these guys do good work. The Loftus well is abandoned.
Yay.
They completed. They pumps and wires were disconnected and the well's filled in. Ray, the only question I have is, I am assuming they filled the paperwork for the DPH and submitted it.
Yes, and we're waiting for him to give us all the paperwork before we send everything up.
Okay,
So,
all right.
yep, he's taking care of it, but we're just waiting he did it, finished it up the other day, backfilling and cleaning the site up, so.
Excellent. And we'll, that's, we won't see a diversion permit anymore from the DPH.
Nope.
All right, very good. Thank you. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, there's been no correspondence with our service group this month, which is very interesting. There's not even any mail correspondence for, we won't have any shutoffs.
Ed, I have a question about the leak detection survey.
Yes.
So we got a low bidder. Is GU awarding the contract, or do we have to award the contract?
No, GEO is. And so they're doing all the operation on that.
Okay.
And the paperwork. And they're
So
also doing.
what happened-
Go ahead.
Matter of fact, I'm almost joining the meeting, but not quite yet. What happened with that is we talked to them because of COVID. We are not.
Can you hear me now? We can hear you.
Yep. Hello. Hey. Okay. Okay.
Stan needs to mute.
All right. Bye. Love you.
Stan's back.
Yeah. Had a phone call.
All right, Ray, what happened?
It was on.
He's not on? We lost him?
Ray's with us, but he's muted. You can see him he's on the screen. There's Tony.
All right, so
Okay, folks, I'm here finally. My computer was acting up.
it looks like Ray's is too. So I guess we'll get back to that. Ray had something to do, some comments to do with the test, I guess. While we're waiting for Ray to come back, I do want to go to the year-to-date. Let's go to the agent. I'm sorry. Let's go to the agent summary. Now, the agent summary is interesting.
The meeting's going on. Can I ask one
the agent summary shows, if you look down below, is we're actually on average making collections. Good. So even during this pandemic, we seem to be collecting money as though we're not having too many issues with people paying bills. I don't have a report. I'm just looking at the numbers.
Oh,
Okay. So is there any questions on that? You can see the numbers. They were 143,000 last month, but now they're 132. And you're looking at the cash collected in the month of May was $125,000. And that's typical. I mean, if you multiply that 12, that's our budget. Okay. Sewer year to date. Now, here's something interesting about sewer. Remember, this is June, so we're looking at year end. So the budget was $504,000, but we only collected $444,904 because that's what was sent to sewer. So we're having a reduction in the amount of water going to sewer. So that reflects a $59,000 drop from what we budgeted to what we actually collected. I'm not sure. I need to talk to Ian. I'm not sure what that impact is on sewer, the sewer operational budget. But it is telling us that less water is going to sewer. Water. Here's something very interesting in water. You go down.
hey, Ed,
Yeah.
is Terry. Could we ask everybody to mute except whoever's talking because there's some background conversation that's interfering.
Yeah, if everybody could just mute, it would be good. Okay, and I'll try and mute myself when you want to talk. So we went to sewer. Now water is interesting. If you look, we budgeted $1 million. We actually collected well, we didn't actually collect, but we used more water than what we budgeted for, to the tune of about $100,000. Now, this is not an impact on us because obviously you use more water, we collect more money. So sewer was less and water is, I don't know who's talking, Terry. I hear that same thing, so I don't know who's not. Anyway.
Caller number 4.
Oh, you see it? That's Jim. There he is. Now he's muted. We caught you, Jim. All right.
No, not me.
I don't know who it is. All right. Well, I don't know who caller number 4 is. So anyway.
Must be me.
Who's that?
Sharon. I couldn't get in through the emails. Couldn't get in through the screen, so I came in through the phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't, I don't know why we're having trouble with that WebEx. That's interesting. By the way, I have no control over that.
Well, I called in on the phone, but if I'm making too much noise, I'll just hang up.
No, I think isn't it *6 does mute?
Sharon, we're seeing 2. We're seeing your call in and we're seeing your name. So your computer may be connecting.
Tom's trying to connect through the computer. Okay. All right. I'm connected through my computer, but I won't be able to talk to you, so I'm going to hang up my phone so you lose my noise. But at least I can see it, okay? Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so again, I just want to reiterate. So we're we've used $100,000 more of water use, and that's why we see that budget balance. So anyway, I don't think there's any action we need to take. It's just interesting when we try and guess how much water we're going to actually use, and of course we seem to be low. We're always off. There is an interesting. I will bring up Steve's operational report, and of course, if you look at this report, we're still finding the ghost of Xylem bad programming. And I want to point out that the effluent pumps had no speed reference. and they had some issues with that. So we're gonna have to do some additional programming to take care of that. I believe he was coming in this month. Other correspondence. I got an email. You can see it on the screen. We got an email from Peter Gardner. I believe Peter Gardner and Harry Heller are forming a LLC to develop Ledyard Center. And apparently the planning and zoning, I got a call from Mike Cherry, have encouraged them to talk to us about, putting sewer to the Highland area. Now, Mike mentioned that they were willing to upfront some money on that. I had responded back to Peter. I guess it's not here. I had responded back that we are, when the 1st of July, we will be seeking an RFQ for an engineering study between Ledyard Center and the Highland for a waste line. So I never got a response back from Peter on that, but that's what I told him. Are there any questions on that? The WUUC meeting, all we did there was vote on officers, and they're looking for volunteers for lots of work. So if you guys have nothing to do, I know where I can put you.
Let me jump in here since I came in late. I'm trying to catch up on the minutes. I see Terry's here, Ed's here, Jim is here, Sharon is here, and I'm here. Stan is not, right?
I'm here.
Okay. Who moved the approval of the minutes, please?
I moved approval, and I believe Terry seconded.
Okay, I'll catch up then.
Okay. So we'll go to old business. Now, if you noticed in their operation report, they are seeking some engineering work for the removal of the Gallup tank bunker. Okay, not other than the fact that they're doing some studies, but we haven't gotten any bids out yet. Obviously, the Loftus well abandonment is done. It's complete. Good work. There's no additional information on the COVID, on the effect on the budget, except we saw that we still are collecting about our normal rate of monies for that. All right, and Terry, this is your correspondence about a small business rate and coming up with a fee that pays for the fixed cost. And I think we probably should discuss what your ideas on that and how to proceed with that. It would dovetail into our rate increase, which we'll be talking about later, that we need to do because of the Groton Utilities rate increase.
Right. I agree. I think, if we're going to be looking at a rate increase anyway, that maybe we take a look at our structure and know what basically a readiness fee is for water and sewer. In other words, what it means to be just connected, and then would track usage separately. So that's a different way of pricing our services.
Yeah, and I know Jim has done, we've all done some work on this. But I think we're going to be faced with, we need to look at it that way. I don't know why. I mean, I can't, the reason for commercial rates obviously is because they're supposed to be, they're making money. They have a profit, but I mean, a dance studio that has a toilet that's occasionally used, it is a daunting thing for some of these small businesses where they're spending $115 a month, for 100 gallons of water. And that's, I'm not sure. Like Bill says, that's Pandora's box. you know, as soon as we open that, now we got to look at all the businesses and how we do that. I think I like your idea. We look at what our fixed costs are, and so just a connection fee, that's what we're going to need to assess. And
All right, I think we can do this for both water and sewer. If we didn't buy or sell a gallon of water,
right,
what are all the other costs? And then we divide that up between the number of customers. The same thing for sewer. If they didn't receive 1 gallon of waste,
right,
what would the fixed cost be? You divide that up by the number of users, and then we can just have that as a basis. That's what it costs to be connected and ready. And then you pay your consumption, whatever it is. And then we decide whether or not we're going to, give a bonus for quantity use, or whether we penalize people for quantity use. Do we want them to economize or not?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so theoretically, for example, if you're not spending electricity and fuel, but we have to do salary, we have to do medical, and there's capital maintenance cost.
Right.
Those numbers, whether the plant sits idle or not, is going to have to be done. Now, I have to be honest. If you're not using your pumps, if you're not running anything, the maintenance cost becomes a little tricky. Then you have to look at the salvage value of a pump.
And the power consumption is a function of use.
Of use, correct.
Power, so the electricity is a variable.
Right, and so the chemical usage. So there in overtime, for example. So there's issues here that we can separate. Say, well, that overtime, of course, you have to work overtime. It's because we're using the plant. So yeah, I think we can probably back those numbers out of the budget and then find out what those numbers look like. Fortunately for us in water, we don't have salaries, but we do have service contracts. I mean, we have contracts. So. All right, so I'll jump on to, is there any other old business?
I got a comment on that also.
Yeah.
On the rate structure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for business, I'm not sure how to do this, but I think you do by size of line. Supporting somebody who's got a 2-inch line is a lot different than somebody who's got a 3/4 inch line. I mean, there is a difference there.
Yeah, Groton Utilities does it by meter size. That's
Okay, well, yeah, there might be a fixed cost schedule according to meter size.
And I think, Terry, that's a good start too, because Groton Utilities they have a table, and I think I have it here somewhere, but they have a table that says, if you've got a 5/8 inch meter size, this is what the cost is. And a 12-inch meter size is a huge cost. So,
right. But most of our residential customers and the small businesses are, I'm sure, all the same meter size, so that we'll have very few larger meter customers.
No, that's correct. The only ones that have bigger meters are the schools. I think there may be I think it's just the schools. So,
If I could, I'm back, so I'm on the phone. I can't get into the webcast for some reason. My computer doesn't. But the schools they have a 6-inch sprinkler line, which is a monthly, yearly fee. And then there's most of them have like a 2 to 3 inch meter size. They're not real big because they have some bathrooms and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is the sprinkler system.
Sprinklers, right.
Yeah, and there's no meter on a sprinkler. They're usually detect, so that's why you guys have a fee that we charge for that. So ours is based on meter size. We have a readiness to serve charge. That's what it's called. Each month you get charged if you don't use a gallon of water. Same thing with the sewer itself. So you might want to just look at it that way, and that's how you try to get all your fixed costs as much as you can on that.
Right. And that Terry is what I would, that that may raise their fixed rate, not their variable rate, the fixed rate. So we'd have to figure that out.
Yeah, we looked at that, I don't know, probably a year or two ago, because I made a similar suggestion. And I think that our fixed costs were a pretty high percentage of our budget, you know, like 40 or 50%, something like that.
Right. Yeah, and that's why we kind of balked at it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We kind of looked at that in horror and went, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. You could almost like make the water free, you know.
What I'd like to do would be to take, as soon as we complete the 20 year, you know, the 1 July 2019 to the 30 June 2020. So we know what the costs were and the amounts of water and sewer and whatnot. Then we use that as the model, and we take our new pricing model and make sure, you know, the new rates would come up with the same result. You know what I'm saying? That we wouldn't be, you know, in the hole, nor would we have, you know, got an excessive amount of money for the rate structure. So we can use that as a test.
Right. So if I were doing a sensitivity analysis just off the top of my head, if let's say we found maybe 25 businesses that, well, they could be kind of like residential, but that would mean we lose, you know, like $1,200, a certain amount of dollars. Then that has to be made up by all the rest of the ratepayers. So that would be the impact. And of course, if you have 1,400 or 1,500 ratepayers, you know, it may not be that severe an impact to them. So yeah, that's kind of how I see the analysis going. It's you'd have to go in and say what is fair to these small businesses that have small 5/8 inch meters, back out, and what's the loss in revenue, and then what is the impact to the rest of the ratepayers.
And or the analysis is different for residential because we have a tiered rate structure. We don't have that for commercial.
No, we don't.
And also, you know, the commercial is actually quite a bit. The commercial even gallon dollar amount is quite a bit higher. So the analysis will be pretty different. My recollection was for the residential was that the first tier is being subsidized pretty heavily by the second people who are paying more for the second and third tier.
Right. And so we would be kind of pushing that back a little bit, and we'd be pushing it into the first tier. So having said that, now, if there's no other old business, we'll go to new business. So the first item in new business, I was horrified when I looked at the public hearing for Groton Utilities rate increase, that it looked like it was going to be 4 hours long. And then I realized that the public hearing was not 4 hours long. It's just that they also had to have the town council had to have their meeting, or the city council. So I did listen in on the public hearing. It was on the government channel. There was a challenge on this. First of all, Ray, this is no criticism, but it was there was a whistling sound. You couldn't hear very well. That was one problem. The second problem I had is you couldn't see the PowerPoint. It was hard to see. You could see a little bit. It was very hard to see. So therefore, it was a little bit challenging to understand. But let me sum this up, guys. What Groton Utilities is facing is they actually had a outside consultant do the whole budget. It was not done internally. It was actually done by, I guess, an outside accounting firm that's an expert in utilities, I guess. And there were some things that were seriously. First of all, was cash flow. You know, they had to have a cash on hand, and the other thing was maintaining $124 million of equipment. You can think about that. You know, that's a significant. So they had to have monies put away so that when this stuff falls apart or needs maintenance, it can be maintained. So I think it was pretty convincing. Now, the problem when you have a public hearing like this is it's very hard to interrupt and ask questions. You couldn't because it was on the government channel. So you had to submit questions, and you'll find this very entertaining. The only questions that were asked were people concerned about their sewer rate going up when the water rate went up. And of course, it had to be explained that no, the sewer rate is based on water usage, not on water cost. So we've had those questions, haven't we? In the past. So anyway, that is the presentation that they made, and that was the reason for the rate increase. Now, what's the impact to us? They are asking for about a 4.7% rate increase. Now, the impact for us is more like a 3.5% because that's just rural water usage, and our budget isn't all water usage. It's also other things. So the overall impact of a 4.7% was more like a 3.5%. So Bill, we will have to go. I don't know how we're going to do public hearings, but we're going to have to go through this. I believe, Ray, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're still targeting October for the first rate increase. Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And I think with the governor's listing of the 25, you have 25 people now in a room. And I think in July, he's going to, if everything goes right, it's going to go up to 100. I think then they'll have meetings in public, I hope, because this is pretty hard to do sometimes.
Now, are you going to have more public hearings in the future?
I think it goes to the Freeman, which it did, and then it goes back to UC and then the Cal. You can always continue. I don't think there's going to be another one on the rate increase. The next one will be our bond fund, which was part of this, but I don't know how far that's out. Bonding councils haven't even started that, so
Okay.
I don't know.
So you don't know. All right. That's fine. But I just thought I'd share with you that I did look at this. Okay, so we're gonna have to make some plans. All I'm saying is we're gonna need a plan between now and obviously way before October, some public hearings on our own about a rate increase for next year. And maybe the opportunity to look at our sewer costs too. We may have to increase some certain percentage there, based on our cost. So now we go to the real controversial topic, and that is the request for a quote on the service contract. Boy, so I got to give you some history. What happened here? Well, I was just, going along thinking that Liz understood, our planning person, that in the past, Charlie had done requests for quotes for us in 2010 and 2015. But apparently Liz did not understand that. She thought that it was finance that does this. So this became kind of a hot item because it wasn't really getting done. So, obviously an apology to Groton Utilities. We thought this was going forward and it wasn't. Having said that, it's going fast now, except that, Bill, I don't know whether you realize, but did you know the mayor sent Groton Utilities a letter asking for an extension for 1 month?
Not until I saw that email this afternoon, no.
Yeah, so I thought we still have to ask for a waiver from finance and the town council. I mean, asking for an extension is the right thing, but don't we have to also ask for a waiver?
Actually, no, I talked to Marcia about that, and Marcia and I concluded that, and I think she had also talked to Fred, it's a lot less risky to go month to month because your service contract has expired than it is to ask for a waiver, because there's no good reason for the waiver other than we didn't get it done. And what normally happens when a service contract expires or a lease expires, you go month to month and you're subject to whatever the month to month rate is. So I think that's why the mayor asked for an extension to go month to month. We're not looking for a waiver because you're going to do an RFP for services, so it's not a waiver.
Yeah, I guess that's, I misunderstood what the waiver meant. I actually thought it was a waiver to do month to month.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
No, what we're really talking about is a bid waiver. And a bid waiver is saying, because we're doing business with this company, their sole source, it's a long-term, we've got their system, their software, whatever, we can't change.
Right.
That's when you ask for a bid waiver. You don't ask for a bid waiver just because you ran out of time to write your RFP and sign a new contract. You go off contract. That's it.
Okay. All right. Having understand that now, I guess Liz is proceeding with the publication this week for an RFQ for services. We're not giving people a lot of time on this. Although, Bill, it's possible we won't get it done in July. We hope to, but we may have to ask for an extension in August too. I'm not sure.
Is it water operations and billing services combined?
No, it's only service. See that? Yeah, see that's
water operations or billing service?
No, just billing services. Operations isn't until next year. So, that's why I was kind of scratching my head, boy, it'd be really nice to waiver that for a year, giving excuses that, well, pandemic and all this other problems. And then we would come out with a big request in July.
So I thought that was the plan for like years to end one contract or write a short-term contract so you could get the two contracts to start and expire at the same time. I thought that's been the plan all along.
And that's what we intend to do. That's correct.
Yeah. So if you do a month to month, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to tie them together, then you're going to have to extend the billing services until the water operations comes due. But I've lost track of what the dates are, but talking with Marcia, I'm not even sure she could pick them up.
Yes.
But I think first you have to decide what you want to do. Do you want to have everything go at the same time, or do you want to keep staggering the two contracts?
I see what you're saying. Right. I wasn't thinking that. I mean, I guess I'm looking for some advice on this. I was hoping we would have time in the next year to be able to put the entire contract for both service and operations. So we start with them both 2020, 21. But I mean, we could ask for both. I mean, that was not the plan that we gave Liz though. We just told her, just do the service. So we would have to back it out and say, oh, we're going to do both. So I'm soliciting opinions here, what people think about this.
Do we know what month the water operations contract expires? Is that the end of June also?
End of June next year.
Okay, then if we want to get them together, then we really need a 2-month extension now so that we can, let's say you get the thing on the street on the 1st of July, people have to respond by the 1st of August, and we award by the 1st of September. And then it's only a 9-month contract.
It's just service. That's just service, right? Not operation.
The billing service. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The service contract,
Okay.
need 2 months to get it properly competed and evaluated. And then it would only last 9 months if you want to get the termination date to be the same as the water operations contract.
There you go.
Could we do month to month until next June?
We could.
Is there any cost to doing that?
I mean, it's the cost is, that's a good question. We already have what the cost is going to be. Groton Utilities gave us a suggested contract that had, it was increased. We budgeted for it, to be honest with you. So it was increased mailing cost. There was some additional licensing costs, you know, so there were some additional costs. We could go month to month, but, and that's, you know, that's, if anybody says anything, we say, well, we're trying to push this so we can get it all together. I don't know what burden that is on Groton Utilities, though.
Well, we did that when we first started working with you. We did a month to month for about 2 years, back and
Right.
forth. So it wouldn't, you know, I don't see it as a problem right now, because I think if you try to get a bid out and all that, everybody's going to be rushing. It won't make any difference either way to us, probably. We'll bid it and see what happens. But if you want to do the month to month, and then we can see what the costs are with everything for Tina, you can talk to her and maybe negotiate it down, because she already sent you the numbers. And that's the only one thing, is we send out all our numbers when you ask for it, so now that becomes public record.
Right. Well, well, that shouldn't have been shared with anybody other than within the town. Is that what you mean by public record? That should not have been shared.
You can't withhold that. It's public information. You can't not share it.
That'd be a FOI fast heartbeat.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so those numbers are published. So we know what those numbers are, Jim. We know what our costs are going to be month to month, approximately.
And well, and from Groton Utilities, that won't be very different than a contract.
No.
So it's not an increase in cost. Question is, it would, you know, will the our town councilors be okay with the fact that we're going month to month and to synchronize these things?
So in my report, I'll report that that's what we're doing. There has been a long-term plan to get these two contracts synchronized to the same date. It would have been better if we had written a one-year contract via a bid, but the fact that it didn't happen, you can't change that. So I'll report to the town council. I'm sure they'll have questions, and you know, I'm not sure what else there is to do. They could say, well, put it out to bid and the heck with trying to time things together. You can't operate, or they'll be okay with it. We'll find out.
Yeah, Bill, I appreciate that. I mean, either way, you know, it just means more paperwork and cost. The town council should be aware that it's going to cost $1,000 to put this in the paper.
Yeah, so I think they'd be a lot more comfortable with the plan if they knew that come a year from now, there will be a contract that is the result of an RFP that was advertised. It was written with due diligence and time, and you know, plenty of people had time to respond. And
Yes.
you have 9 months to do that.
Yes.
So if we could say that, I think if we could assure them of that it will actually happen, I think there'd be a lot less questions.
Yeah, and we'll make it that we'll definitely make a commitment to that. I mean, I think all of us will work hard to make that happen. So
yeah, we need to be writing that RFP about the 1st of March.
Exactly.
right. It should be vetted. We should approve it internally. And it should be done within our, sorry. All right, and you know, and then done through the finance with the town council. And if Liz is still involved, I don't know, but we'll make sure
So
that
just so I'm clear, the new date for billing and operations is July 1, 2021. That's when we want to have a new contract signed, having gone through an RFP process for both, correct?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions on this?
Just gonna say, I don't think we want to go out to bid for a contract that's gonna last less than a year. To go through the expense and hassle of doing a short-term contract isn't worth it.
I agree.
So either, Stan, I agree with you. I think I don't think anyone is going to spend a lot of effort and time putting in a quote when they realize that, they got less than 11 months, 10 months, or 9 months. So, the other question, Bill, we have, is there a town council ordinance on the number of years out in the future we can do a contract? Or is that usually the vendor not comfortable giving longer than a 3 to 5 year contract? How far can we go out?
I think it's more past practices, Ed. This is a big service. It's a lot of money. It affects a lot of people. And the closest analogy we have is curbside collection.
Yes.
And that's a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions. The vendors would love a 10-year contract, and I think there's been some consideration given to that, but so far it's been 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking like some of our solar panel contracts are out 20, 25 years. But that's, I guess that's a different.
That's a lease.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
a lease. Right.
It's a long-term lease.
Okay. We're down to item 3, new business. I have, because the water drinking fee payment was actually not separated in our budget from last year, I need a motion to approve the fee of $1,255.38 to pay the Department of Health the fee. It comes out of our water rates. It does not come out of our budget. We actually charge, I believe it's 22 cents a meter or whatever that thing is, extra. So it's actually the ratepayers that are paying this.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Are there any discussions on this? If not, all those approve of paying this fee of $1,255.38 signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing none, abstentions? Hearing none, it's unanimously approved. Is there any other business? Ray, do you never finish the difficulty you had with the leak test? Is that right? Did we get the full story?
No, you didn't. So the leak test, we put that out when we have to do ours and you have to do yours at the same time. So we put it out in our contract, one for Groton, one for Legend. And I showed you the results at the last, I think, couple months ago. So upstate leak was the lowest. And he did it last time too, 5 years ago. But the only problem with the COVID that he's behind times right now, especially from being New York. He won't be coming down until we get all this squared away because we're waiting for ours. But we've been in contact with them, and seeing that you're from the New York plates wouldn't be a good thing probably driving around right now. So we'll, as soon as we get a schedule, we'll let everybody know. Hydrant flushing is completed. We'll be repairing a few hydrants that have some issues. Nothing big on your side, so we're doing them now for that. So that moved around pretty good. It was right on time.
Good.
Quick question on the leak detection. Is there a date where we get into trouble with the state of Connecticut?
No, we've been in contact with the state, and they're, as long as we can get something to them within this year, which is, the calendar year, they're fine with that. They understand, that what's happening. So they've been pretty good at that point.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ray, I guess you haven't been down to Mystic to see all the New York and New Jersey plates.
It's funny that this weekend we started serving Aquarian again, and they were running out of water from us. They were trying to take so much that they said that all the hotels were crowded, and it just hit them real fast. They weren't really ready for it. So it was like, I didn't know there was that many people, but I guess there was a lot of them that came down.
Yeah, I'd stay away. Okay, good, thanks. Anything else?
So,
Anybody?
yeah, I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I was asked at a recent town council meeting about the Ledyard Center tank and the status of that, because I've been reporting for years that we have to be setting aside money to repaint it
Right.
inside and out. So I promised to come back with a report on the inside and the outside of the tank.
Now, Ray, we did an inspection a few years ago inside that tank, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yes.
That tank looked pretty good inside. I'll pull the video and stuff up at work, but Holmberg's tank, which is yours too, and that's part of the money you get for
Right.
going across the river, that fund that comes in. That was the one that had the worst, and it needed around the piping inside, the diffuser
Yep.
was kind of corroded and dirty, but being a concrete tank, it had a little less work, but that was the biggest problem with it. But I will review them and get you the reports.
Okay. Do you recall when it was inspected, Ray? The Ledyard Center tank?
They both were done at the same time. I think it might have been late last year.
Okay.
I'll double check.
All right, good. Thank you.
Hopefully, Bill, I mean, we know, I'm not sure about the outside of the condition, but we knew the inside was in pretty good shape. So, I mean, that doesn't, I mean, how often do we inspect those, Ray? Every 5 years?
Every 5 years, most of the time we put a robot in it.
Okay. So we're looking, Bill, at least another 4 years from now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, Ray, are you going to email me with what you find?
Yeah, when I get back to work Friday, I'll send you the
That's
report.
fine. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other news or any other business? If hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
So moved. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks. Yep.
So long, everyone.